So I partly made this, or I'm making this video to almost explain to myself the impact of Trump's tariffs. So first things first, that I have to get my head around, is this. So they keep phrasing it like it's a tariff on the other country, that it's a tax on the other country. It's not. The US brings in goods from UK, Vietnam, Cambodia, China, brings in the goods, and at the border, the importer, whoever's doing the importing, so it's an American company bringing it in, pays the import duty, the tariff, right, to the US government. So it's the US importer that has to find the money, not the UK, Vietnam, Cambodia, China, whoever. It's not them. They can sell their goods for the same money. They could just go, yeah, it's just the same price, mate. Because their cost base is unchanged. Now, so the importers had to pay 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% more. So they will naturally pass it on to whoever that good goes to. And if they're bringing it into the country, to the US consumer. And the prices will go up. Now, I'm ignoring the argument about this whole level playing field thing that Trump's talking about. I think that's a nonsense. The reality is that the US importer has to find 10, 20, 30% money to pay to the US government. And that will get passed on to the consumer. Now, the impact is potentially that, say, the UK, that the importer now reduces his requirement, his quantity. Now, why would he do that? He can't source it from somewhere else because it's tariffed. He can't make it in the US because it takes time to build a factory. So only if the US consumer demands less will he demand less from that country. So if it's a necessity, why would demand go down? Only if it's a luxury good that's now more expensive would it potentially go down in price. Or now that something costs more, people will buy less of it. So yeah, okay, then it's less sales from the UK to the US. But potentially other countries will now take up that demand. Anyway, let's ignore other countries. So yeah, then maybe then there's less business to the US by people that make that certain product. If there is that, if the many goods don't have a demand based on price, it's simply they need that many for that production. So, and then what he's hoping for is that the tariffs that these countries have on US products, they reduce. That's his leverage, or that's what he's trying to get out of this. Allegedly, that's what he's trying to get out of this. But historically, there's a reason why the world has tried to reduce tariffs. And it's not about, the hilarity to me is, like, the US wants this level playing field. They're the biggest, richest, strongest economy in the world. What's not fair? I'm finding that a struggle when I'm sometimes in arguments with Americans online. They're like, oh, it's unfair. Have you visited Cambodia? Have you visited the Philippines? Have you visited Vietnam? I don't think you have, because if you felt like their economy or their standard of living was unfair, you need to visit them. The only unfair thing is the way the US rapes the rest of the world. Is that strong? So for me, all these tariffs have done is he's just killed the US economy. Every US consumer is poorer today. Every single one. Every single US consumer is poorer. There's better ways than tariffs. This isn't 1910. The whole reason back in whatever the day when manufacturing went to Vietnam, China, Cambodia, Philippines, wherever, was that it's expensive to hire people in America. It's expensive. They want a lot of wages. And you thought, hang on, when we add on shipping and they'll work, the wages are less in, let's go with Cambodia. Oh, and then we can ship the good and it costs the American consumer less. Oh, that's a great idea. And at the same time, you're giving people in Cambodia good work. You're almost spreading the wealth. China has spent decades making products for the rest of the world, and they're becoming wealthy. So what was wrong with that setup? I don't feel like there's anything wrong. So he wants all these manufacturing jobs to be in the US. It's going to make products really expensive. And then what? You then have products that are unaffordable. You can't sell them back out. He won't be able to export like his valves or car parts or something because there'll be crazy money. So manufacturing within the US, I think, is almost pointless. All this has done is hurt the global economy. Is my take. I can't see an end game. Okay, you might want some manufacturing in America, maybe like steel. I know they had a big issue with steel in like 2020. They wanted to make their own steel. Or maybe if you want to put the final components together of a mobile phone, so it's not put together in a so-called adversary. Like, okay, fine, they might think that's of national interest, but shouldn't we be working more together as a planet? I'm being naive now. I'll stop being naive. Maybe they should just put the bits together that they care about in America. Or if they deem like agriculture or like steel, they seem to have a big issue with steel. Maybe then like protect those industries. But just to put 10, 20, 30% on all imports he's done I don't think it's even a gamble. I think it's a massive mistake. Sets us all back 50 years. But for some reason, so I'm on kind of a Discord chat group, and Americans are really angry at me for suggesting that this isn't the best idea. Some things I think Trump's great idea, this whole Doge thing, cutting government waste, great, yeah, why not? Every household, every business, should cut waste every now and again. Great, no problem. But this whole tariff thing, it's a disaster. You can't, I don't think I know, he does property and stuff and he puts buildings up in a year and this, but how quickly does it take to build a manufacturing plant to sort out the supply chain? It takes a while. So what you're going to have a year of paying 30, 40, 50% more for your imported stuff while you build manufacturing plants, and then you're going to have those the labor cost is going to be like the labor cost is eye-watering because the US wage required to live is huge, and that's why they've done it out of these other countries. It's just I'm finding it absurd, his mental gymnastics to make this valid. And I am assuming that because he now can't roll over with it. He can't just go, just kidding. Nah, he can't just say that now because he's got an ego and he can't say I was wrong and reduce them. Unless he can find some kind of leverage play that makes him come out like, oh yeah, of course, I was just using it as leverage. This is a real tricky situation, and trillions, I guess, are going to be wiped off the value of the stock markets. And then my biggest concern that keeps flashing up in the back of my head is dollars. When you sell your goods to the US, they pay for it in dollars. You receive that dollars. I think most manufacturers will receive in dollars, and then they'll convert, then they'll sell their dollars. So I'm pondering the impact on the dollar specifically because there's going to be less dollars sold. Will that increase the dollar? So it may not only just make products more expensive with the tariff, but if the dollar rallies, they're going to be more expensive again. I don't know quite the impact of the dollar on this. because I'm not sure what currency is bought and sold. So I'll need to give that one a bit of thought. But I think I did economics and we looked at tariffs and I can't remember there being any positives to it. Generally, globally, you want as least government you want minimal government, you want minimal regulations, and you want minimal barriers. You just want global free trade. So this is a massive, massive leap in the opposite direction. So yeah, I have my concerns. I definitely have my concerns. I've ignored all this chat about levelling the playing field because I just don't think it's true. If you sell whiskey from Scotland to the US, the tariff is paid by the US importer, and then that whiskey is more expensive in the shops. So the importer will just pass through the costs. The US consumer will pay a higher price. It's not like the US can make Scottish whiskey. And even though I get these really angry Americans because I don't agree with the tariffs, they're like, oh, it's the best thing ever. Well, the S&P last night closed at 564. Its opening pre-market is 549. So who's right? I don't want to say who's right. The market sees it as bad, and the market is always right. So from 560 whatever to 540 whatever, it's not cheering on the Trump tariffs. I forgot to add on. So what am I going to do? Because I have a long portfolio. Well, yesterday into the tariff announcement, I was selling a lot of positions to get capital. And so what I'm going to do today is, during the bloodbath that's on the books at the open, is look around for value, buy into value, just steadily, because I do expect negotiations, recalibrations. If this is as bad as the tariff news is, we'll get a, like, stop orders are going to trigger all over the place. So this could be a flush out low. And then as long as these renegotiations of the Trump tariffs happen, I still believe that with Trump, you just get rallies and then smackdowns, rallies and smackdowns. Whether we end up net negative or net positive, I don't know. But I'll be looking for value, and I will definitely try on any rally to sell out, so I have cash for the next Trump smackdown. Good luck out there. That's it.